I suspect my husband is father of our best friend's children, and I'm spiraling because her oldest kid started to date our daughter. Part 2. The rest of the night was sleepless for me. I cried. I eventually realized I needed to wake up the kids and explain as much as I could. I woke Sarah first and told her I had kicked her dad out and found proof of his affair on his devices. I didn't get into details, and she didn't ask. I woke the others and gently explained that their dad had gone to stay somewhere else. I wasn't sure where, but things were going to be different now. Lily was the one who asked if we were getting divorced, and I couldn't lie to her. I told her yes. Andrew asked when they could see their dad again, and I wanted to cry. Sarah helped a lot, encouraging the others to focus on me and not worry about their dad. I knew better than to poison them against him, so I only told Sarah the affair was confirmed, since she already knew. As the kids were getting ready for school, Andrew asked me outright if it was about Anna. If Ben was going to be with her instead of me. I couldn't answer, but I suppose that silence said it all. After getting the kids to school, I called to have the locks changed. I knew Ben would be back for his devices soon, but thankfully, Paige returned them before he showed up again. It was a quick visit. She told me everything was handled and that she had records we'd need for court. Sure enough, Ben came an hour later, demanding his phone and laptop. I'd put them back in our bedroom, like they'd never been touched. I told him he must have forgotten them. He insisted I had said they were in one of the bags, but I just shrugged and said I'd been mistaken. Once he grabbed them, he tried to reason with me again, but I showed him the door. I knew the kids would be home from school soon, and I wasn't going to let him stall to see them. I started shouting and sent him on his way. I'm still in pain from what I saw, and I don't know if he realizes anyone went through his devices and copied the evidence. He didn't say anything about it when he left. Afterward, I cried again. Later, I talked to my mother-in-law. Apparently, Ben did show up at his parents' house, which was a surprise because I thought he would go straight to Anna. Maybe even he knows how suspicious it would look to the kids if he did that. Maybe he knows I'm more likely to let the kids see their grandmother than Anna at this point. But he still wanted to see them to give his side of things. That won't happen. Kat told me what Ben had said to her and Jim. He claimed I was having a breakdown, that he wished he could help me, but my paranoia was making me lash out and act violently. I was never violent. I only pushed him away when he tried to hold me. What's funny is that he didn't mention Anna to his parents at all. When talking to them, he didn't even try to frame it as me falsely believing he was having an affair. He left Anna out of the story completely.
Kat noticed that, and she believes me.
Jim is more confused, though. According to Kat, he seemed really troubled by everything he heard from all sides. As for Anna, she's been silent. Dave told Sarah that Anna is pretending like nothing is wrong, but is clearly stressed. When her kids ask about me, she claims I'm having a breakdown and pushing her and Ben away. She doesn't mention anything about the affair, but puts all the blame on me. Anna hasn't tried to talk to me directly, and I haven't reached out to her since our big fight. I haven't told the kids everything, just that I'm having disagreements with Ben and Anna, but I made it clear that it's not about my mental health. Honestly, I think they know what's going on. Sarah continues to be my rock, and I try to be the same for her and the others. Dave is still keeping an eye on things. My biggest regret right now is the stress all of this is causing the kids, but I knew it would be tough. It had to be done. My life has fallen apart, but it was never really my life to begin with. In my previous post, I mentioned some issues I had with Paige. It turns out I wasn't the only one who had problems with her. As for the deed being in my name, it's not a guaranteed win, but Paige believes that combined with the fact I've been paying the mortgage, I have a strong case. It could be seen as a shared marital asset, but I'm still pushing for primary custody with supervised visits. I'm playing hardball. Some questioned whether I should even be sharing this, but as long as it's all anonymous, I'm fine. It doesn't matter if someone who knows me figures out it's me. I didn't use any real names, nor did I reveal any details that could pinpoint my location. Regarding the laptop, Paige herself admitted it was a bit questionable, but technically, I gave her permission. She was only doing what I could have done myself. I just didn't want to go through all that content. As for the divorce papers, Paige filled them out after I contacted her the first time. The actual serving was more of a formality. She contacted Ben later to officially serve him and request his lawyer's details. Before Ben could respond, though, I had a little trick up my sleeve. I contacted our family lawyer, the one who had represented both of us throughout our marriage. He helped us out with the HOA once. I'll call him Zach. Now, contrary to what some of the comments suggested, I can't just go around consulting with lawyers specifically to block Ben from hiring them. That's bad faith, and judges don't like that. But Zach had been my attorney, too, for years. I felt like I had just as much right to him as Ben did. And I got to him first. So, I met with Zach and Paige, and let me tell you, they did not get along. Zach raised some of the same concerns people had pointed out. He said Paige's actions were in a gray area and advised me to hire him instead for my divorce. This caused some tension because Paige specializes in family law. So, for now, I'm getting advice from both of them. Zach actually thinks the posts I've made are a good thing. They can't do much except prove my state of mind if Ben and Anna try to argue otherwise. Overall, I'm doing better. I've been talking to a friend of mine, the mother of one of Sarah's friends. I also have therapy lined up for myself, and I plan to look into family therapy as well. When the kids ask about the situation, I tell them that their father and I are having problems, but it's nothing they need to worry about. That worked for a day or so. Sarah warned me that the kids were planning to confront me together, and sure enough, they did. They asked me directly if their dad had cheated on me with Anna. It seems like they've been talking about it, maybe for longer than I realized. I think they've had their suspicions. Even though I have undeniable proof, I hesitated to give them the full details. Let me explain. I couldn't bring myself to tell them about the explicit content I found, but I told them that I found messages between Ben and Anna that confirmed their affair. I didn't go into specifics, though. Lily, being the curious one, would have wanted to see the messages, so when they asked if their dad had cheated, I simply said, I believe he did. I think they believed me. Dave and Sarah have been texting nonstop, and it seems like Anna's kids are starting to question whether this is really about me losing my mind or if it's about their mom being too close to my husband. I think Jim is slowly starting to realize that what he didn't want to believe is happening, and it's happening now. I haven't shown him or Kat any of the evidence yet. They're hosting Ben, so I haven't had much contact with them. But I did have a phone call with Kat where we wished each other well. It was nice, but in the background, I heard shouting. Kat quickly stepped outside, but I could tell Jim was shouting at Ben. He's usually so calm, so that gave me a mix of worry and relief. At least he's seeing through the lies. According to Kat, Ben is still denying everything. He was pretty upset when he found out I had gone behind his back and contacted Zach. That gave me some grim satisfaction. Then the test results came in. Sarah and Dave tested their DNA to find out if they're blood siblings. Here's the shocker, they're not. The test showed no shared DNA. So, for everyone who thought Jim had fathered Anna's kids, here's the proof he didn't. I never believed it anyway. Sarah is still unsure and wonders if the test was faulty and if we should get another one, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm more confused than anything. I was so sure Dave had to be Ben's son, and so was he. Now he doesn't know what to think, and neither do I. I now know for sure the affair happened, and I know from the letters that Kendall is Ben's child, or at least both he and Anna believe she is, which confirms they were intimate 15 years ago. Now I'm just wondering, for Dave's sake, who his father really is. He does kind of look like Ben, but maybe that's just a coincidence. Everything had been quiet for a few days, until it wasn't. Until Anna finally showed up. My best friend. I'm so glad I set up cameras everywhere, and you'll understand why soon. Sure enough, Anna showed up at my door and asked to talk. She seemed calm and didn't raise her voice. I figured she was there on Ben's behalf, so I told her I wasn't interested in talking and asked her to leave. But she didn't go away. She wasn't making a scene, though. Instead, she kept saying we needed to have a conversation. The kids weren't home, and I had cameras inside. I was also discreetly recording on my phone, so eventually I let her in. I'm not sure if she realized she was being filmed. We sat down on the couch, and she immediately got to the point. Apparently, Ben and Anna knew or suspected I had found incriminating material on his laptop. Anna accused me of snooping and demanded that I delete everything I found. That was all she had to say, no apology, no admission of guilt. She didn't even acknowledge what the sensitive material was. Maybe she knew I was recording her because she didn't address the issue directly. I was furious, so I confronted her. I asked her how she could have the nerve to make demands of me. Why did she and Ben feel it was okay to betray me for all these years? I asked her why they'd spent so long deceiving me. And of course, as I expected, she didn't answer. It was as if she didn't even hear me. She seemed stressed, panicked even, but was trying to hide it. She ignored my questions and just kept repeating herself, telling me to delete whatever I had found on Ben's laptop. She said if I wanted to divorce Ben, that was my decision, but not to drag her into it. That made me so angry. I held my temper, but snapped back that she was already deeply involved. Still, she kept repeating her demand. So I refused. I asked her point blank why I should delete anything. Why would I? Anna got more aggressive and started raising her voice, trying to intimidate me. But I held my ground. She told me this wasn't about me, and that I just needed to do as she said because it was important. So I asked again, why? And once again, she wouldn't answer. I then asked her if Ben had sent her, or if she had come on her own. No answer. It felt like I was talking to a brick wall. I told her to leave. Of course, she wouldn't. She insisted that I delete everything in front of her. I couldn't help but laugh. I told her no, that wasn't going to happen. That's when I saw her start to lose it. She rushed into the other room, grabbed my laptop, and smashed it on the floor. I don't know what she thought smashing my laptop would accomplish, but she was panicking. Obviously, I still have everything, just not the laptop. I'll need to buy a new one. Sadly, that moment wasn't caught on camera, but my important files were backed up, and I was more worried about what she might do next. She seemed on the verge of a breakdown. I calmly told her she needed to leave, or I would call the police. She refused again, just repeating that I needed to drop this cheating angle and divorce Ben without arguing about the affair. At that point, I just stared at her. The woman I had once called my best friend. I told her that I didn't owe her anything, but she owed her children the truth. They had the right to know the truth about Ben, and who he really was to them. Anna bristled and told me it was none of my business, that I didn't understand her family, and I needed to back off. She kept pushing the idea that I could divorce Ben, but I shouldn't claim he had an affair with her. I told her that I didn't need her permission to handle my divorce however I wanted, and told her again to leave. The more desperate she got, the more her anger flared, and she physically attacked me. I never expected that. I'm not a fighter, but I do know the body well enough to protect myself. She hurt me, but I managed to get her off. That was all on camera, and the audio was recorded on my phone. She finally left, and I immediately called the police to file a report. I had a feeling she might try something similar again, so I wanted to beat her to it. By the time I faced my kids, I had cleaned myself up. I didn't lie to them about the black eye, but I downplayed the story. I told them for their safety to stay away from Anna. I also sent the footage and pictures of my injury to Paige and Zach. They've also printed the letters that reference Kendall as Ben's child. I really feel like Anna made a huge mistake. I'm still not sure what her motives were. Was she protecting Ben? Was this his idea? Or was she just trying to cover her own tracks? I've spoken to more people in my social circle, and the more I tell them the basics, the more they confess they'd suspected Ben was cheating, but never had solid proof. Maybe Anna doesn't want her kids to know who their real father is, which makes sense, but I'm still not sure about Dave. I didn't ask her about him directly. I don't know why you guys want updates, but I don't mind sharing them. I've never blogged about my life before, but I imagine this is what it's like. Hey, everyone. It's been a tough week. A lot has happened, and honestly, I don't want to go into all the details right now, so I'll keep this short. I know I usually talk a lot, but I'm going to keep it brief this time. Ben now has a lawyer. I haven't met him yet, but he's already had a meeting with Zach and Paige. For those suggesting I should have had Anna arrested, I probably could have if I showed the police the video, but I sent it to my lawyer instead. Maybe that makes me look foolish, but even now, part of me is still trying to protect people I used to care about, maybe too much. The past few days have been on pause, though, because Jim had a heart attack. I saw Ben, Anna, and Anna's kids at the funeral. It was the first time we've all been in the same place since everything went down. We didn't talk much about what's been happening. Anna briefly apologized for what happened before, and she seemed sincere. I didn't call her out, though. Ben, Anna, and Kat all seemed devastated. I was too, but we agreed not to talk about the divorce and to focus on Jim. Ben and I had a nice talk about him. I've been spending time with my kids and taking a couple of days off work. I've got a lot to deal with, but the kids are my priority. Ben also saw the kids twice, before and after the funeral, with me present. Everything went fine. I asked Sarah to make sure they didn't mention Anna, and Ben didn't act inappropriately with any of them. I think he misses them and is upset that he can't see them more, especially with everything going on. The kids are also struggling with losing Grandpa, along with not seeing Dad as much. I don't think any of them blame me, but that's beside the point. Travis slept in my bed the last 3 nights. When I feel up to it, I'll get into more detail. But for now, I'll just say that whoever thought Kat lied about the test results was right. She never sent them. She admitted it to me. I guess she didn't want to go behind her son's back, but she was okay lying to me to protect him, until the guilt got to her and she came clean. I'm not angry with her, given the situation, but I can't trust her anymore. As far as I know, she didn't tell Ben about the test. But it means Dave could still be Ben's son. Probably is. My lawyers finished going through Ben and Anna's letters in more detail. They found exactly what Anna didn't want me to see, and now I understand why she was so worried. It has to do with why Anna and Ben didn't get married the traditional way. They did something really bad. But I'm not sure I should be discussing it here, even anonymously. I still haven't processed everything they've done, especially with all this going on, so I don't feel right being more explicit about it. I hope you understand. Paige agrees with me. It's better not to post about it. I've told my lawyers to hold off on it for now because I'm not in the right headspace to decide how to move forward with it or if I should use it against them. Honestly, I'm just feeling like crap. It's hard not to blame myself for Jim. I'm sure Ben and Anna are blaming themselves too. I know they've done terrible things and I don't forgive them, but this situation has torn us all apart. I think we all feel that the divorce might have stressed Jim out to the point where it contributed to his heart attack. He already had heart disease. I especially blame myself for showing him proof of the affair right before he died. I'll carry that with me for a long time, even if I know I shouldn't. I'll update when I'm able.
I'm sorry.
I'll respond to comments when I can. Hey, everyone. This might be my last update for a while. Right now, I'm in therapy, as are my kids. I've heard that Anna's kids are in therapy too, so at least there's that. I should probably focus on healthier ways to deal with my emotions. I've spoken to my therapist about these posts, and she said venting anonymously can be okay up to a point. If I decide to post again, I might do it on different subreddits or somewhere else, but I'm not sure yet. I've also met with the judge now. A lot of people were worried about how these posts might affect me legally. The short answer is that they won't. The long answer is that since everything is anonymous, there's no risk of defamation or slander. I've changed enough details and used fake names. The posts won't matter in the case, and I'm clear to keep writing if I want to, as long as I avoid discussing the case details. Though, the judge probably wishes I'd stop altogether, and I might. I went ahead and reported what I learned, and things went crazy. I had to report it because after Jim passed, Anna and Ben shifted their approach. They started claiming that Ben and I had an open marriage, so there couldn't be an affair. They tried to rewrite history, saying I always knew about it. I didn't report them before, but I knew the truth, and when I reported it, their story crumbled. Of course, this meant the kids found out. I had to tell Sarah and Dave personally, because I knew they'd find out anyway. The others found out too. Dave was in shock. I know I'm just the messenger, but I hated that I had to tell him. Kendall didn't take it well at all. I heard she had a few breakdowns and even tried to run away. I had to let her come to our house for safety, but then I had to send her back. As much as I wanted to keep her with us against Anna's wishes, I knew I had to let her go. Letting her leave was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I feel like I betrayed her, even though I know it wasn't my fault. Sarah's been really angry with her dad, especially after he and Anna forced Kendall to go back. It's been really tough on Sarah and Kendall. Ben wanted to see Sarah again, but she refused. She wouldn't even leave her room. Technically, I was supposed to let him see her, but she's 15. I tried to get her to come out, but she wouldn't. So I did my best. After Kendall's incident, when Ben pushed me to make Sarah leave her room, I snapped and told him to leave. I wasn't proud of raising my voice, but I was so angry by that point. Through all this, Ben and Anna still act like I'm the bad guy. Ben and Anna are furious with me. They don't have the right to be, but they are. I got a restraining order against Anna because I knew she'd confront me, and she did. After I reported them, but before Kendall came over, Anna came to my house, banging on the door and screaming at me. She was furious with me for what I did. I called the police, but she was gone by the time they got there. They were as useless as before. When Kendall came to me for help, Anna came after her, but I didn't let her in. I made it clear that I'd only let the cops take Kendall. Anna was not stepping foot in my house. It didn't matter how much I explained. Later, Anna smeared me on social media, accusing me of kidnapping. I defended myself without revealing too much, though I was tempted to. Ben gave me a lecture when I saw him, but I just kept interrupting him and throwing facts at him. I think it's from being away from him that I'm finally able to see through his manipulation. He always sounds so sweet and reasonable, but now I recognize his evasions. I'm so angry at him for what he's done to all his kids, especially Kendall. I want to adopt her. I know I can't, but I want to. Kat and I talked for a long time. She didn't know about the affair, and she's genuinely sorry for lying to me before. Trust takes time to rebuild, but I understand the awful position she was in. Now that things are coming out, she's struggling too. I feel sorry for her. If Anna loses custody of her kids, I'll need help. I can't take all of them in, and Kat will need to step in. I'm giving her a chance to rebuild trust, mainly because I'll need her help. I can't say what will happen long term, but if things go as they should, Ben won't even get visitation with my kids. We'll know soon if Anna's kids are Ben's. I know Kendall was always believed to be his, though they never tested it. Anna hasn't been with anyone else for a long time. For what it's worth, Kat still supports Anna financially, especially with her kids. I don't mind for now, but if Anna loses custody, all that stops. As for how Ben and Anna got together, from the letters I've seen, it's clear that Anna was sexually abused as a child, and Ben was the only person she felt safe with when they were in high school. It was a terrible idea, and they both knew it. They lied about being surrogate siblings, but they also crossed that line. After Dave was born and they believed Dave is Ben's, their relationship became more romantic. Anna calls Ben my person, and he says the same. I read the letters, even though it sickened me. I wanted to understand, even if I didn't want to know. Overall, I'm doing better. Personally, I'm improving, but I feel guilty because no one else is. My kids are miserable, which makes me miserable. But I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I want them to see it. Ben and Anna are miserable, and while I'm not glad about it, I don't know what they were expecting. They've been playing a destructive game for years, and it was bound to catch up with them. Anna's kids are struggling, especially Kendall. I wish I could reach out to her again, but I can't except through Dave, and he has to be careful.
Kat is also struggling.
We're all still reeling from Jim's loss, and the Kendall incident really broke me. But I think I've passed the worst of it and am learning to choose myself for a change. It's been a while since my last post, and things have continued to spiral. I've received quite a few messages and comments asking how I'm doing, and I really appreciate that. Although there's still a lot I can't share, I've had my legal team review this post before sharing it. They've cleared it, so here we are. As for the main update, as I mentioned in the comments, I discovered that Ben and Anna discussed being half-siblings in the letters I found on Ben's laptop. The timeline is still unclear, but here's what I know so far. Jim had an affair with one of his college-age students, and she ended up pregnant. Years later, her daughter became close friends with Jim's son. Anna had a tough time at home and was abused by her parents. Ben's family wanted to get her out of that environment, which they eventually did. Afterward, Jim revealed the truth to both Ben and Anna. However, it wasn't until a few years later that they became intimate. As for recent developments, Kendall has spent some time in a psychiatric hospital. Dave found out that she had done something reckless, and as a result, social services decided to remove her from Ben and Anna's care. She's now staying with Kat. Anna was furious about this and raged for a while, accusing me of trying to turn Kendall against her. I've been told that she made some threats in her anger. My lawyer advised me not to reach out directly, but I did send Kendall a message, letting her know she can always come to me if she needs to. I think that's the right thing to do. If she reaches out, I'll be there for her. I took my kids to a haunted house tonight, but Sarah went over to Kat's to spend some time with Kendall and help pass out Halloween candy. Things have only gotten worse since the test results came back. Everyone was tested. I finally have confirmation that Ben is the biological father of all 4 of Anna's children. After years of wondering, this confirmation feels strangely hollow. It doesn't change much, but it does confirm that he was unfaithful to me. Ben continues to insist it was an open relationship. I briefly considered using incest charges against him and Anna, but that plan hit a wall. They had themselves tested as well, and according to the results, they are not siblings. I'm still confused by this, as it contradicts what they believed. Perhaps Jim was wrong all this time? Either way, I have proof that they thought they were half-siblings, though now they claim it was just roleplay. Ben then threw me a curveball by demanding that we test my children. I hated him for that. My kids have been through enough. But he insisted that I participated in the open relationship and that the paternity of our kids would prove it. He specifically wanted to test Sarah, and I couldn't understand why. But it turns out he must know something I don't, because the test results for Sarah came back negative. Ben is not her father. Ben then claimed he tested Sarah years ago, which I thought was a lie. I was convinced he somehow tampered with the test, but I asked Kat about it, and she confirmed that there's a DNA test from about 10 years ago, which also states that Ben is not Sarah's father. Before anyone asks, no, I never had an affair. I've never cheated on Ben. I have no idea how this happened, and I can't make sense of it. I requested another test, but the results haven't come in yet. With 2 tests showing the same result, I'm both confused and scared. I don't know how this is possible. Someone suggested that Ben might be a genetic chimera, but I doubt that's the case. I asked Kat about it, and she doesn't know anything about Ben having absorbed a twin. Since I wasn't unfaithful, I have to assume something was done to me without my consent. I've never been sexually assaulted, as far as I know. But there were a few nights when Anna and I got drunk together, and I wonder if someone could have drugged me. What scares me is that Ben tested Sarah years ago. He must know more than he's letting on. I've talked with my therapist and lawyer, and I'm trying to figure this out, but I'm lost. I've been honest with Sarah about everything. Some people have suggested that there might have been a mix-up at the hospital and that Sarah may not be biologically mine. She was almost never out of my sight back then, so I don't think that's possible. But we'll do the necessary tests to be sure. I think Ben brought this up to try to cause doubt in Sarah's mind, to drive a wedge between us. I've assured her that I never cheated, and that these results are impossible. I don't think she completely believes me, but I don't get the sense that she's angry or feels betrayed. Honestly, I think she'd prefer it were true, that Ben was not her biological father. The rest of my kids don't know about this part yet, but they'll likely find out soon. Gossip is spreading like wildfire between Anna's kids and mine. I've never been the kind of parent to snoop on my kids' texts, so I'm not sure what's being said. But I won't bring it up unless Sarah gives me her blessing. She's the only one whose results came back negative. Ben is proven to be the father of the others. Kat is refusing to speak to her children, but that's not because she's ignoring them. They're not allowed to contact Kendall right now, so distance is unavoidable. But Kat is furious with both of them, especially after seeing how Kaylee is doing. She'll likely explode at them when she has the chance. I wish I could offer a happy ending, but the trouble is far from over. I'm still struggling with the possibility that I might have been assaulted and never known it, and if that's the case, I'm dreading the conversation with Sarah about her origins. I'm not sure when I'll update again, but I'll answer any questions you might have in the meantime.